What's up, everyone? NanMan here, and we're back with some more modern action. This time around, we're going to be showing off a old school deck known as Selesnya Bogles versus Hardened Scales. Now, we have shown both these decks on camera, on the stream, on the channel a couple of times. Well, Hardened Scales quite a bit because we've got some very good Hardened Scales players that will rotate through the deck and play it as much as possible when they can. So yeah, very awesome to be able to see Hardened Scales back on the channel. But we have Bogles that we haven't seen in a little while. We got to see it, what did it play against the last time? I can't remember off the top of my head, but we got to see it recently on the channel. I think it was against the Rhino player that kind of felt a little one-sided because of just how snowbally the deck can be. So let's talk a little bit about what both the decks are trying to do, right? Because they are sort of doing different sort of things, but just sort of like ships passing in the night in a way. So the Bogles list is all about putting ores onto creatures. We see the core Spirit Dancer being one of those really powerful creatures that kind of help snowball the action, because whenever you're casting an aura, you get to draw a card. So you're kind of going to go Voltron style. I'll load up one creature with all this stuff and just sort of pierce through, utilizing things like Rancor, utilizing things like Griffspoon to give it evasion and flying. So like or even like Spirit Mantle to give it unblockable against creatures. So there's a couple ways to just sort of get in there and make something happen. The other side of things, the Hardened Scales list. Oh, speaking of Griffspoon, we're seeing it now. So the other side of things, Hardened Scales is all about those +1/+1 counters and manipulating them and setting yourselves up to kind of really go crazy here and be able to have that potential for a OTK explosive turn, utilizing things like Inkmoth Nexus, utilizing things like Walking Ballista and Arcbound Ravagers. Those are like the three really scary cards that the deck has access to here. But we see a big hit coming across for 7, of course, because every aura that is attached to our core Spirit Dancer, we get access to a +2/+2, in addition to whatever benefits the auras themselves give here. So Glade Cover Scout coming out as well as a little bit of a follow-up here, but this is kind of the turn for our Hardened Scales player to try to make something happen. But, you know, this is turn 2, their turn 3, right, being on the draw. So can they set themselves up here? Like, you know, it used to be referred to as Modern is a turn 4 format where really the game is picking up and something big has happened in that turn by turn 4, and we're seeing that specifically here, and a lot of that is because of this sort of old school Selesnya Boggle list where you're seeing these like, oh, I've dumped my hand here and attached it all to this thing, and I'm really swinging in, and you have to find an answer to this immediately, right, by turn 4, or you're in trouble. But same sort of thing could happen with the Hardened Scales. Hardened Scales can win on turn 4, but this is their turn 3. They've got a pretty good setup here with Axis Soul Cauldron. Looks like it's going to be the cast. Yeah. So that does help. Again, adding some more counters. And, oh, a Haywire Might is nice. Now, the Haywire Might, you know, we have no more mana here, so we can't be able to pop one of the enchantments this turn. But we're hoping that we can set ourselves up enough that we can absorb, right? 13 life, you feel like you're okay. Can we generate enough mana? Okay, Spirit Mantle, +1/+1, protection from creatures. Trigger, because we cast an aura, core Spirit Dancer will let us draw a card off of this. So we're just sort of like, instead of going the 100% Pierce, now we're starting to diversify a little bit, get 2 threats coming, and essentially 2 unblockable ones, and there is all that glitters, +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 unblockable. And then what do we got here? 6 +7, 13. Yeah. Wow. So there's 13 damage in the turn. Here is the 13 exactly coming across there. But yeah, there's the turn 4. We were just talking about how that is that big moment there. So Bogles will grab that first victory there, and we'll get into sideboards and see what sort of tools these players have at their disposal here as we're getting into this match, because it is a best of 3 here, of course. Interrupting our gameplay to let you know about our new affiliate with Nerd Gear. nerdgear.gg/nanman will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories, from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanman for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay. All right, fast-paced one to start off the game one. Still got more action here. And speaking of more action that we've got coming up on the channel, we do have our budget MTGO game coming out this Saturday for you to enjoy. We've got on Monday, following up, is our 4 Seasons video. Going to be Yawgmoth versus, what do we got? Versus Affinity. And then we're going to kind of start sprinkling in a few more of our gameplay stuff, of course, every Monday and Thursday. And then we've got our next Pokemon episode. So if you've been following along with the Pokemon Cube, we did our first episode there about building our base to fossil Pokemon Cube with Psychic Pokemon. Now we've got our Water Pokemon edition coming up. I'm actually today going to go and test out a 2-player version of the cube. I've stripped away a couple of the cards, and I'm going to test out a 2-player version and see if that's fun or not, and how that might work out, because the draft format with a 2-player is a little bit different. You're doing a straight up, here's a pack, divide it into a pile. One player gets the pile, the other player gets the other pile. Like it's going to be interesting to see how that works out in testing here. But the second mulligan is going to happen for a Boggle player. That's the other thing about this deck, is you are limited on creatures, right? Think about the Infect style or the Boggle style, like these. Like I've low creature count, really trying to get there. At least with our current present day Infect version, we did get Venerated Rot Priest, so we increased our count up by 4 more creatures. But the Boggle list, we had a few additions, right? But really it's like Boggles, Gladecover Scout, Core Spirit Dancer. Some players will run like a Light Paws or so, but that's kind of really it, right? So you're running a low creature count, and you really have to set yourself up and make sure that you have lands and spells, of course, but really it's that, do you have one of your hexproof or power creatures that you can be able to kind of utilize here? So all right, there's this slipperiest of boys, Boggles, coming out here. Yeah, look at those feet. Hands? What are those? Grippers? I don't know. So oh my gosh, I was on social media the other day, and somebody was making the comment about making a commander deck all about feet, because there's so many feet related cards now, and I'm just like, that's a choice. Don't yuck a yum, but I'll stick to just making commander decks that I find enjoyable strategy wise, or keep decking out some of mine. I'm also thinking about downgrading some of my commander decks. I have a lot, and I've started to collect a good proportion of cards, both commander and modern. Like you see, a lot of players will utilize some of my decks weekly, just because I love being able to play the game. I love being able to show you guys so many different decks on the channel, but also I'm starting to get back into this modern 2015 format, and I might make a battle box of that. Like I've got Infect right now because I'm going to be playing in the tournament coming up, and then I've got the pieces to make some of the other original. Like I might make like a Jeskai control stuff. I might make a Jund list. It's very, very tempting to go back to that 2015 era of Modern, because it's capped right before Kaladesh block came out. So Khans of Tarkir was like the cap for it. So you get access to all the fetch lands. But all right, let's see. Getting back into this game, we've got more Slippery Boggles coming out, but sort of like stalemated here as the creature count increases for a Hardened Scales player, and she's got the Arcbound Ravager. We talked about those really scary cards. Arcbound Ravager, Walking Ballista, and Inkmoth are all on the battlefield here. So we're in this like danger zone. Alarm bells should be going off if you're playing against a Hardened Scales deck, because this is where things really can get out of hand very quickly here. So, seeing the mulligan down, for the Bogles player. They still were able to assemble the Slippery Boggle. They still were able to get all the glitters, but they really just need to start chaining some stuff together here. But Welding Jar are going to get grabbed off of the Urza Saga. There's a couple options players go for. Welding Jar is good, a little bit of protection there. Some players will go for the Ozolith, things like that. But Loading Zone, now you should be in panic mode. Okay, let's move to combat, activate this Ink Moth here, and we are going to sacrifice. So it'll move 2 counters here, and then that'll of course, a double up because of Loading Zone, which is going to get crazy. And then we're going to sacrifice Arcbound to itself, which then will put those 10 counters and just one shot. Is that okay? We good for dying with Infect? I mean, I know I am. I always love Infect wins on the channel. So quick one shot, tying it up 1-1 here as the Boggle player gets defeated by Infect there. So Hardened Scales player looking for something explosive like that to happen in game number 3. We'll see what sort of mulligans take place here as these players set up for their 3rd game in this series here. All right. Looks like we're keeping. All right, both players are keeping here. Razor Verge Thicket into the other. Hey, we're back. Slippery Boggle. Come on out. 18 for the Hardened Scales. We have the Hardened Scales to start with. Ancient Stirrings. What are we going with? There's so many 1-drops. Hardened Scales is the play, namesake of the deck, of course, allowing us to really generate a lot of value off of our modular creatures there. But Windswept Teeth. Are we losing 3? Yeah, going to 17. What are we grabbing here? I mean, we didn't really see too much sideboard cards in game number 2. It's just sort of like, again, that like turn 4 win. But all the glitters comes out, so 2 damage coming across, and we can start putting a clock on our opponent. So now 16. Misty down to 15. Go get the basic here. So yeah, a lot of the Hardened Scales players have pivoted off the Simic, the blue-green version, saying we don't really need the Emery, we don't really need the Consigns. Let's just go into the red-green version. I've thought about it too for, shifting into it just for that weapons manufacturing. Like you'll see that in the affinity versions of decks, but like going for like a Gruul Hardened Scales with weapons manufacturer might be worth it. I don't know what I would shave. I guess I would just get rid of, like, I have Emery, I've got Kappa Cannoneer, my Simic version right now, and I think a Metallic Rebuke main board, like these like specific blue related cards that I guess I could shave off and turn those into weapon manufacturers. But then that also gives us access to things like the sideboard stuff like Whip Flares and Galvanic Blast and stuff like that, or Discharge. I'm mixing up the two in my brain, but all right, Daybreak Coronet's here. We're going to try to move to combat and try to bring the beats, but guess what? We can do some blocking and shooting, and no life link will take place there. So Daybreak Coronet is a really powerful enchantment, but has a really big downside to it here. In the sense, well, also playing against this deck where it's like, I'm just going to sacrifice my creatures so you gain no life there, right? So let's see, what is the next follow-up here? We're just sort of in this, okay, I see this slowly building up creature. Right now, there's no evasion. Right now, there's no Rancor. So, oh, okay, Malevolent Rumble here. Loading Zone and Zabaz are our options. Both really good. I guess it depends on what we need. Looks like we're going to go with the Zabaz here. Maybe we already have a Loading Zone or not prioritizing. We don't have the Ink Moth. We don't have the Arcbound. So we can't do the same sort of explosive way to go about it. But that could also mean that there is a Loading Zone in hand. So there are these little nuances about what players are grabbing here. So do we go for the Zabaz now? Right, you see the little Eldrazi spawn. That's that little like handwritten card there almost. So we'll see if that is going to be sacked this turn. Probably not though. Right, because we could just do another setup here, Zabaz pass, but you see this sort of debate and wait here. Ah, Spring Leaf. All right, fetching. Yeah, Spring Leaf Drum helps us out, a little bit of mana stuff. Also can kind of utilize our cards a little bit better. Play the Zabaz next turn, tap it for mana, you know, things like that. Just sort of rinse and repeat how we can basically give something, turn it into a mana dork the turn we play it if we wanted to. All right. Another Temple Garden fetched up here. No Surveil lands in the Boggle list. You know, definitely a possibility to add them in there, but it's also like sometimes you want to just kind of go fast, and I have a hard time debating and going through and going, ooh, do I really want to do that and fetch up and get a Surveil land when I really need it? Okay, apparently we have all the creatures. Glade Cover Scout 1 and 2 immediately cast here as the Boggle tried to get through, but immediately met by another sacrifice creature. So no lifelink again to help out there. All right, Inkmoth is here, so we're getting closer and closer. All right. Oh, no. Magus of the Moon, our sideboard card coming in here. So that's going to be a little bit difficult if we're trying to be able to cast all these green and white cards, and there's now just 3 mountains here. But Walking Ballista going to come out for 1, gives us, or sorry, 2 because of the Hardened Scales. Will give us another creature that we can sack and draw a card off of. All right. Moving to combat. Just the Boggle. The debate about the scouts, I guess it's like, you know, one of the scouts could have gotten eaten there. Would that have mattered too much? Maybe. I don't know. Core Spirit Dancer, because we did find a basic Plains, but no Aurors at the moment. So our equipment deck is fumbling on finding some of the equipment, while the Hardened Scales is kind of able to do this sacrifice delay tactic right now, but they're sort of in this waiting mode here. What do we got? 4 mana. Oh, hard casting the loading zone, not warping it. Zabaz is coming in, so we're going to have a 4/4 out of nowhere. All right? I'll play 5 mana, get a 4/4, and an enchantment that's going to stick around and make things scary. So now bring the Boggle across. All right, life total swap here, 18 to 9 off of that hit. Did we get any ores? No, but a basic Plains is nice. All right. Our Hardened Scales player is going to be looking for more creatures, looking for an Arcbound, things like that. So looks like we're going to do a check about the Daybreak and how this works. Looking about the All That Glitters. Pass and turn. Nothing they want to do here. I mean, the ability to have Vigilance off of the Boggle is really nice. All right, Hyena Umbra. We're going to start diversifying our aura count here a little bit. So it does have the Umbra keyword, no longer Totem Armor. It's not, I think it's Umbra Armor now. But we will draw a card, give it a little bit of protection there. All right, so now we've got, now the question, it's also got First Strike. So it's like, okay, do we go and start sending that in or not? So we see the block here and Beseiju. So we have a little bit of a discussion here. So the target right now is Daybreak. Now I say, no, you want to target this one because the way that Daybreak works is it has to have an aura attached to the creature in order to be there. If you destroy it and there's no other auras, Daybreak falls off, which is a weird old interaction that if you did not play in the early days of Modern, you probably did not know that that was how that works. So we have a little discussion with the player and it was like, yeah, no, target this one. You're going to be in a much better spot because I lose both the auras, and you get a 2-for-1 me here. And I go and find a basic Plains here. Will not, like the lack of a forest, make a difference in this matchup? We'll see, because a lot of the auras that we've seen so far are white, like All That Glitters, the Hyena Umbras. Spirit Mantle, right? Daybreak Coronet, a lot of those are white. And the Ozolith for a Hardened Scales player is really good. So we're in this weird mode now of like, the longer this game is going on, the more it's helping out the Hardened Scales player because they're able to kind of build up and set themselves up here. But Stony Silence coming out a little bit late to the party here, but this prevents the Arcbound sacrificing type effects. All right, a 3, what is it? Yeah, +2/+2, so a 3/5 with first strike. And we'll throw this in the way. Yeah, we don't want to... Yeah, it's like, do we kill the Magus here or try to start bringing in beats and hope for the best? But no, look, again, we're stumbling on auras. All right. 2 mana. Just kidding. I like to keep the Ink Moth available in case the Magus dies, though. Yeah. This cool card that doesn't do anything except become a 4/4. Good. Enters with 1, becomes 2 off the Hardened Scales, and becomes 4 off the loading zone. And utilizing those wonky dice to mess with everyone's brains here. Oh, it gets me every time. All right, again, no aura, just like a turn past here. Tough spot to be in. So the game is slowly slipping away, it feels like. Oh my gosh, again, just 2 mana for another 4/4. It's crazy how much value this is getting off of both those. So this like moment where you think of the Hardened Scales deck as a big explosive powerhouse deck, with these like very burst damagey turns is kind of turned into, hey, we're just going to play this like mid-rangey, I'm going to just play a 4/4 and hope that's good enough for you. So we're going to do an open the armory here. Search for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. So which aura are we going for? All right, the debate about the Daybreak. You see the Daybreak moving up to the top there. And then the Spirit Mantle comes up. Protection from creatures here. I was like, is the lifelink better here? I mean, the problem is like the... I guess the Arcbound wouldn't be able to block it, but... Yeah, 6, 8. Hardened Scales players at 9. We'll draw a card. Can we get another equipment? Basically, we just need one more equipment. And we have a Spider Umbra, so we do have another equipment. Oh, but we don't have the green source. We didn't get the green source off the Beseiju. So that aura that we needed would have won the game here. Right? Because the Spider Umbra gives +1, and then Core Spirit Dancer gets +2 off it. So without the green source, we throw down another Spirit Dancer and just sort of pass turn, ready to do some blocking. Oh, man. So close here. All right. Zabaz. Arcbound, Arcbound. So now we're in this really bad spot here because our Hardened Scale player just realized that the Spirit Dancers got first strike and things are going to get bad. So you see them working through this right now. As like the Ozolith here, the loading zone, the Hardened Scales, because the first strike damage goes off before the rest of the damage, it's going to get gross. Yeah, so they're going through it right now. So this creature will die. Galvanic okay, it is the blast. Galvanic blast that Core Spirit Etcher. Swing the team. We have to block here, so let's block this one. First strike happens. These are gonna move here. 4 + 1 × 2, so that's 10 more counters go onto the Arcbound. So 14, 18 damage. -8. There you go. Look, yeah, so there it is. We just needed a green source and we would have won. Ooh, so close. That was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like seeing that, like these weird interactions where the first strike actually was relevant. That doesn't normally come up when you're playing these. So oh, that's so smart. Okay, so there was that moment of like, hey, I was ready for you to give it flying, so I had lines that I could be able to protect myself and get out of it, but we get to see a little bit of the sideboard options that players were able to bring in here, which is always exciting to see. So, yeah, the Boggle deck's fun. I like it if you like the old school stuff. It does have some bit of fragileness to it, but I think this was a good showing of the deck. Even though it lost, you know, it still was able to show off a little bit here. But also, you got to see the power of the Hardened Scales and the power of the loading zone. If you're not running the loading zone in your Hardened Scales list, you should start doing that now. But that's going to do it for us here today. Another exciting one to be able to watch. Make sure you guys check out our Saturday videos coming up, as well as every Monday and Thursday for more modern gameplay action here. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, y'all, and I'll see you all next game.